Here's a number that should stop you cold. After the age of 60, the average man loses up to 8% of his muscle mass every single decade, and that rate doubles after 70. That's not a slow fade. That's a biological avalanche. And the cruel irony? Most men over 60 are told the solution is a gym membership, a stack of dumbbells, and an hour a day they don't have. I'm Marcus Reed. I'm 58 years old. I spent 12 years as a professional athlete, and the last 15 coaching men over 50 back into the strongest versions of themselves. And I'm telling you right now that conventional advice is built for 30-year-olds. It was never designed for your biology. Here's what we're covering today. First, I'll show you why. Muscle loss after 60 is primarily a hormonal and neurological problem, not a laziness problem. Second, I'll walk you through the exact 2-0-minute zero equipment protocol that targets the specific biological pathways your body actually responds to at this age. Third, I'll show you the precise mechanics that protect your joints while still forcing genuine muscle adaptation. Fourth, I'll break down the rep timing science that most trainers don't even know exists. And at the end, stay with me on this, I'm going to give you a single force multiplier habit that can double the results of everything you're about to learn. No equipment, no gym, 20 minutes. Let's talk about what's actually happening inside your body first. One, the enemy has a name. Raymond is 67. He'd been active most of his adult life, weekend hikes, occasional push-ups, nothing extreme. But over 5 years, he watched his arms shrink, his posture collapse forward, and his grip weaken to the point where opening a jar felt like a task. He came to me convinced his body had simply given up. It hadn't. His body was following a hormonal script nobody had bothered to hand him. Here's the science behind what Raymond and very likely you are experiencing. The condition is called sarcopenia. It's the progressive, age-related loss of skeletal muscle mass and function. But the mechanism behind it is what most people miss entirely. It's not simply that your muscles stop responding. It's that two specific biological brakes get applied simultaneously. The first brake is myostatin, a protein your body produces that literally signals muscle cells to stop growing. Think of myostatin as a muscle growth regulator that, unfortunately, becomes more aggressive with age. The second brake is a decline in anabolic signaling, specifically the reduced activation of a pathway called mTOR, mechanistic target of rapamycin. mTOR is the master switch for muscle protein synthesis. When mTOR is firing, your body builds. When it's suppressed, your body breaks down. Here's the critical insight. These two brakes respond to mechanical tension, meaning the right kind of physical stress, applied to the right muscles, for the right duration, suppresses myostatin and activates mTOR even without a single pound of external weight. Your own body weight, applied intelligently, is enough to trigger that cascade. This is not motivational language. This is protein synthesis biology. And this is where Raymond's story changed. We didn't put him in a gym. We put him through a specific sequence of slow, controlled, tension-maximizing bodyweight movements. And within 8 weeks, his functional strength had measurably improved. The question is, what does that sequence actually look like? That's chapter 2. But before we get there, I need to tell you about the joint problem. Because if you're over 60, you've probably been told that bodyweight exercises are either too easy or too hard on your knees and shoulders. Both of those beliefs are wrong. Here's why. 2. The joint protection protocol. Gerald was 71. Both knees had been scoped twice. Every personal trainer he'd consulted looked at his medical history and essentially told him to stick to the recumbent bike. Gerald didn't need cardio advice. He needed someone to understand that his joints weren't the enemy. Poor movement mechanics were. The key physiological concept here is something called neuromuscular efficiency. As we age, the communication between your nervous system and your muscle fibers degrades. It's like a city's electrical grid, losing substations. The power is still there, but it's not getting routed correctly. This degradation means older men often recruit the wrong muscles, placing excessive load on joints rather than distributing it across the surrounding muscle architecture the way a younger nervous system would. The fix is not to avoid movement. The fix is to slow the movement down and create deliberate muscular tension through the full range of motion. We call this time under tension training, or TUT. And the research on it for older adults is compelling. A 2021 review in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that slower rep tempos, specifically a 3-second eccentric phase, significantly increased muscle activation in men over 60 compared to standard speed repetitions with no additional joint stress. Here's how we apply this to the 4 foundational exercises in the 20-minute protocol. Each movement uses a 3-1-3 tempo, 3 seconds down, 1 second pause at peak tension, 3 seconds back up. This tempo forces mTOR activation, minimizes joint impact, and re-educates the neuromuscular connection that's been degrading quietly for years. Exercise 1. The wall sit. Your quads, glutes, and hamstrings working in coordinated isometric tension. No spinal compression. No knee tracking issues when positioned correctly, toes slightly out, knees tracking over the second toe, weight in the heels, hold for 45 seconds. 2 sets. Exercise 2. The incline. Push up against a counter. This allows full chest, anterior deltoid, and tricep engagement with zero rotator cuff impingement, risk a massive advantage over floor push-ups for men with prior shoulder history. 12 reps. 3-1-3 tempo. 2 sets. Exercise 3. The hip hinge deadlift. Body weight only. Feet hip width. Hinging at the hip, not the waist. This single movement pattern reactivates the posterior chain glutes, hamstrings, lower back that has almost certainly atrophied from years of sitting. 8 reps, slow and controlled. Exercise 4. The standing row, using a door frame. Lean back at 45 degrees, grip the frame, and pull your chest toward your hands. This directly counters the postural collapse pattern Raymond had developed, building the rhomboids and mid-traps that no amount of walking will ever touch. Gerald did this 4-movement circuit, 3 times through, inside 20 minutes. At 8 weeks, his orthopedist noted improved stability in both knee joints, not from the knees getting younger, but from the surrounding musculature finally doing its job. The joints were always capable, they just needed the muscle back. Now here's what's interesting. Recovery is actually where the real building happens. And men over 60 have a specific recovery window that, if you're ignoring it, you are leaving the majority of your gains on the table. That's Chapter 3. Before we go deeper, I want to ask you something specific. What is the one physical limitation that you feel is holding you back from exercising consistently right now? Is it joint pain? Low energy? Not knowing what to actually do? Drop it in the comments right now. Not because I want engagement numbers, because I read these, and the most common answer is going to shape the next video I make for this exact community. Tell me where you're stuck. 3. The recovery window. Thomas was 63. He was doing everything right, or so he thought. 3 workouts a week, protein shake after every session, 8 hours of sleep. But he wasn't recovering. His muscles felt perpetually heavy. He wasn't sore in a productive way. He was just tired. What Thomas didn't know was that his cortisol curve had shifted. Here's the biology. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone, and it's not evil. In short bursts, cortisol facilitates fat metabolism and prepares you for physical effort. But chronically elevated cortisol, which becomes increasingly common in men over 60 due to sleep architecture changes, accumulated life stress, and lower testosterone, actively suppresses muscle protein synthesis. In other words, it blocks the very mTOR pathway we just spent Chapter 2 activating. The recovery window for muscle protein synthesis in men over 60 peaks in the 30 to 60 minute range post-exercise, and it's narrower and more sensitive to cortisol interference than in younger men. This means what you do in that hour after your 20-minute session matters enormously. Thomas wasn't doing anything destructive in that window. He just wasn't doing the right things. The 3 post-workout priorities are this. First, protein timing. 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein within 30 minutes post-workout is not bro science. It's the dose shown to maximally stimulate muscle protein synthesis in men over 60. Whole food sources, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, canned salmon are perfectly effective. No powders required. Second, active recovery positioning. Lying down for 20 minutes with your legs elevated reduces cortisol response by facilitating parasympathetic nervous system activation. This is not laziness. This is hormonal management. Third, sunlight exposure within 2 hours post-workout. Natural light exposure suppresses late-morning cortisol elevation and helps anchor your circadian rhythm, which directly governs testosterone production and growth hormone release. Thomas implemented all three. He didn't change his workout, he didn't add a supplement, he changed the 60 minutes after his workout. And within 6 weeks, his recovery time halved, and his strength numbers began trending upward again consistently. But here's the piece that connects all of this, and why the order you perform these exercises matters more than which exercises you choose. That's Chapter 4. 4 sequence is everything. Victor was 68. A former engineer, methodical, detail-oriented. He'd been doing bodyweight exercises for 2 years, with zero noticeable progress. When he showed me his routine, the movements were fine, but the sequence was metabolically backwards. He was doing cardiovascular movements, jumping jacks, mountain climbers before his resistance work. This is the equivalent of draining the battery before you need the car. Here is the physiological reality. When you perform cardiovascular exercise first, you activate AMPK, adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase, a cellular energy sensor that essentially signals your body to prioritize fuel conservation over muscle building. AMPK and mTOR are in direct competition. When AMPK is elevated, mTOR is suppressed. When mTOR is elevated, muscle protein synthesis occurs. If you want to build muscle, you must perform resistance movements first before any cardiovascular component. So mTOR has priority access to the anabolic window. Victor's restructured 2 0-minute session looks like this. Minutes 1 and 2. Movement prep, hip circles, shoulder rolls, bodyweight squats at normal speed to prime the neuromuscular pathways. Minutes 3 through 18. 3 rounds of the 4-movement circuit. Wall sit, incline, push-up, hip hinge, standing row with 45 seconds of rest between exercises. Minutes 19 and 20. Slow diaphragmatic breathing, 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, to begin the parasympathetic shift that optimizes the recovery window immediately. That's it. 20 minutes. Sequenced correctly. Victor saw measurable increases in upper body strength within 10 weeks. Not because the workout was magic, because the biology was finally being respected. Here's the habit that doubles everything I just described. It costs nothing. It takes 2 minutes a day, and fewer than 3% of men over 60 are doing it consistently. The habit is deliberate morning priming specifically, performing 3 sets of 10 slow, controlled bodyweight squats within 30 minutes of waking, before coffee, before food. Here's why this works mechanically. Morning testosterone levels are at their daily peak, typically 20 to 25% higher than afternoon levels. Introducing a brief resistance stimulus at this hormonal peak sensitizes the androgen receptors in your muscle tissue, making them more responsive to the full workout you do later in the day. Think of it as tuning a radio antenna before the broadcast. The broadcast, your 2 0-minute session, sends the same signal, but now your cells are actually receiving it. This opinion also activates the circadian clock in muscle tissue itself, a relatively new finding showing that skeletal muscle contains its own peripheral circadian clock that responds to early morning mechanical loading. Activating this clock early essentially tells your body that today is a building day, not a conservation day. The downstream hormonal effects persist for hours. 2 minutes, 10 squats, 3 sets, every morning. That is the force multiplier. Let me tell you who you are for watching this far. You're not someone who settled for the chair and the excuses. You're not someone who let the culture of low expectations for men over 60 write your physical story. You are in the top 5% of men your age who understand that the body is not a liability, it is a system. And systems respond to the right inputs at any age. The men I've watched transform their strength, their posture, their energy, and their confidence in their 60s and 70s are not exceptional genetics. They are exceptional decision makers. They chose to understand the biology instead of fighting it blindly. That is exactly what you just did for the last 17 minutes. Your protocol is 4 movements, 20 minutes, 3 rounds, sequenced correctly, followed by a deliberate recovery window, and anchored by 2 minutes of morning priming that most men will never do. That gap between knowing and doing is where your results live. If this shifted how you think about training after 60, the most valuable thing you can do is share it with one man who needs it. Not for my numbers, for his. Because the science is clear, the protocol works, and no man should lose his strength to a problem that has a solution. Stay strong, stay curious. And remember, the strongest version of you isn't behind you, it's still being built.